Alex Johnstone.
Thank you very much, Convener. Confidence in process, especially on polling day and at the count, were rightly very high. However, if those of us who monitor items in the press, social media, are aware that there were a number of suggestions made of irregularities at the count, which appeared to me to be based on a misunderstanding of process. Now, the first question I would ask, out of courtesy to those who may have made these suggestions, is there any evidence to support some of the claims that were made?
Well, rightly, one of our, as was discussed at your session before Parliament, we worked very closely with Police Scotland, as the Electoral Management Board did, as Mary Piccately outlined, and a good partnership working with Police Scotland. So any allegations that were brought to us, we handed over to the police, and they rightly deal with it and are dealing with a number at the moment, but we have no update about that. That's quite properly a matter for them. What we are aware of is that, and as Mary Piccately has underlined in public statements to reassure people, that there were a large number of observers, as you would be aware, at 32 counts and at the national count, people from either side of the campaign, over 200 accredited observers, many, I won't go into the list of people who were there observing, and at no count did anyone point to any irregularity and bring it to the attention of either the counting officer, any of the staff, or to the police. And there was a police officer at every count throughout the country. So nothing surfaced by way of irregularities about the count until after the declaration of the result. And those were quite rightly referred to the police, and they're dealing with the matter.
These want to give a wide berth to any specific cases, but the fact that there appeared to be discussion taking place in certain areas regarding that, do you think it was simply a reflection of the very large number of people who were engaging in the process for the first time, who didn't understand the process? And is that the reason why you have put in your recommendations a requirement to inform better the voters on count procedure?
Yes, I think it's quite important, because we know specifically from questions that were directed to us and to colleagues of mine within the Electoral Commission that people did not understand the process of the count. And we have to accept that most people within the country don't attend counts and don't observe counts and don't know what goes on at them. And what were the normal stages of a count, of verification, of putting the ballots into two piles, etc., were misunderstood by some people. And it was very clear that when these questions were asked, as my colleagues dealt with them on telephone, that once they realised that was the end of the matter, they realised what was happening. And so we've made it a specific recommendation, because we think it is our responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen again, so that we can point, when someone says what's happening at a count, we can point to an animation or video material, or we can point to a pack that briefs them on the different stages of a count, because it is clear that a number of people misunderstood the normal processes of a count, and that led to them think there was something fishy going on. So we have to do that as a priority, to make sure that in the future people understand what the current processes are.
I think it's really interesting, because we've obviously spent a lot of time and resource over the last few years explaining to people how to register to vote, how to fill in the ballot paper and such like. And we spent time briefing and providing information to journalists and candidates and agents about what happens in counts and such. But we've never actually consciously done it for the general public, who, on this occasion, this was, I think, the first time I know anyway, when all 32 count centres had cameras in them and people saw things, and there were things being thrown up on TV during the count, which then created social media comment. And I think it was probably the first time we've had a unique, huge democratic event and social media existed. So one of the things we've taken is ourselves and counting officers and return officers need to consciously explain to the ordinary member of the public, who, let's be honest, doesn't understand how a count works, how it does work simply, so they can be informed. I mean, we took, as everyone in our electoral world, took a lot of calls afterwards. Many people were just simply confused, and once we'd explained it, they were happy. Others were less happy, to be honest, to be frank. But I think from a bureaucratic point of view, we need to provide simple information on how a count works and get that out to people.
It's obvious from the terms of the report that you understand the issue. In the count I attended, there was one person from each side at each table, and the observation went extremely well. But are you confident that no action you take in relation to this, or no action there is taken, is likely to make it more difficult for observers to ensure that the count is open and fair?
Oh no, I'm absolutely sure about it. The observation and the open and transparency of the count is central to it. No, we're very clear that we have to do more work in the generality of what goes on, so that people who are coming to account for the first time, people who are seeing aspects of it on social media, might understand what's taking place. And we take that responsibility pretty seriously. And it's a sadness too, because we know that people's perception of fraud is greatly affected by media reports like this. So if our research tells us that if the vast majority of people who believe there is fraudulent activity at elections or referendums say it is because I saw the stories in the media. And I've looked at some of the social media material, and it's very difficult to source it. And that's frustrating as well. We're not absolutely sure where it comes from and whether it relates to where it relates to. Does it relate to this referendum or some other activity? And that's frustrating, because you can't then deal with it specifically. It's just one of these generalities, and that does affect people's confidence in the system. And that's why we take this issue very seriously, and we have to do something about it, and we will do something about it.
Can I just add? I mean, the key to confidence in any result is the transparency of the people that have a stake in the outcome. And I thought it was very, very powerful when campaigners or politicians who'd cared passionately about the outcome came out and said, we saw it, and actually there's not a problem here. And I think that message because throughout the day there were so many opportunities for people to identify something that was wrong, and it was so transparent, to then at the end of it say, we were there, we were part of it, we cared about it just as much as you do, we saw it, and actually you should have confidence in the result. I think that's a very, very powerful way to fight some of that stuff that then comes through afterwards.